course, all of us understand the fracas going on between the health section and the miracle aspect. And of course, maybe spiritual matters are very difficult to talk about, but let's talk reality. Do you actually believe all the miracles pastors or prophets show out there are truthful? When they come out claiming certain illnesses, especially illnesses such as HIV, have been healed, is that true? Because now the government for the first time has come after a war, David, and indicated that whatever he has been saying, or rather how he has been working with his doctors within his church, is actually wrong. And Duale came out to indicate that any medical practitioner should use science to verify and clear airs about the matters of discussion around such conditions, and not actually come up with very funny ways of proving what is happening around the people. So the miracles that have been hanging around, sometimes they are meant to attract more worshippers. And it's not just in this church, but so many other churches are doing the same. Of course, we understand from the country, if you've been watching some of the videos or clips out there. So guys, weka tu hapa nikiturn camera, I can eat not now, please. All right, so alafu niwekea maji kwa hiyo content. All right, so I don't know how the entire situation will go, because there is investigation on those doctors and any other person who has been engaged in actually proving that the miracles are truthful and making more worshippers to follow. And of course, when you post anything about this, people are feeling very emotional, and they are not using their rational thought, or rather reasoning in the same way Dwale does. Just because spiritual matters are very funny. You remember there is a time Mama Ida said that churches should be vetted in Kenya, and people are so emotional that they just began to attack and indicate that she's going to be struck and all that. And of course, I saw one of the videos. I don't know whether it was a meme, somebody trying to indicate that Rachel RUTO had actually defended Prophet War. I'm not sure this happened. However, I just think that people are raising speculation to drive jam towards their platforms, because I don't believe that she would actually have the audacity to come out and challenge Dwale, who is in charge of health. And of course, when you remember, if you can remember the time there was this this guy in Tanzania, why am I forgetting the name? That guy was a doctor somebody. He actually made a lot of people in Kenya to stop taking drugs, HIV AIDS drugs, because he said that they can simply go for water, and once they take it, they'll be okay. However, many people who stopped to take medicine died in the process. And it was such an alarming rate that I think, reasoning from that point, that is why Duale has decided to come out and condone, or rather, stage a war against the miracles and the doctors that are using spiritual arguments to raise matters of health. Okay, so anyway, that was not my key concern. That was just came out as another as a by the way. So so far, remembering that Trump recently had to conduct a carry on the president in one of these nations. Now we have seen there's a very critical discussion surrounding both the claims that Rigathi Gachagua has made against the Somali people who are conducting business in Isili. Of course, he indicated that they should come for them. And away from that, we saw to the president now coming out to say that they not allow a country like Kenya, which is not unstable, to be attacked by anybody. So let's get to listen to something here.
A section of members of parliament from northeastern Kenya are accusing former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua of ethnic profiling and incitement, calling on the National Cohesion and Integration Commission to investigate what they describe as a targeted attack on the Somali community. The controversy centers on allegations Gachagua made linking a mole in his sleeve to massive fraud schemes in the United States, where over $300 million meant to feed vulnerable children during the COVID-19 pandemic was stolen, where individuals in Minnesota, some with Kenyan connections. But lawmakers are presenting a timeline they say categorically disproves these claims. According to Northeastern MPs, the land on which the BBS mall stands was legally acquired back in 2009, with construction commencing in 2018, years before the Minnesota fraud scandal even began. They're calling Gachagua's allegations not just false, dangerous, divisive, weaponizing serious criminal accusations to target an entire ethnic community.
Cases, a highly politicized, weaponized situation which involves many other members of other nationalities, colors, and communities, but has become a cause celebre to frame and scapegoat the Somali community in the US and beyond. Bashing Somalis, be they here in Kenya or the United States, has become a blood sport. And peddling propaganda, disinformation, and damn lies is the latest game trending on the social media.
We condemn in the terms the reckless and unacceptable statements by former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, which has taken Somaliphobia into a new alarming level. His attacks on Somali-owned businesses are born out of jealousy, envy, and hatred. They amount to ethnic profiling, misinformation, and deliberate attempts to divide Kenyans. We will not shy away from defending our businessmen from reckless and divisive utterances by this rogue Rigathi Gachagua, who is smarting away from the impeachment and remains bitter long after he was impeached. No community in this country should be turned into a political punching bag by failed, reckless.
Former Deputy President.
Now, of course, that is a bitter response that comes from the Somali people in Kenya after the former Vice President Rigathi Gachagua said that they should come for, that the U.S. raid should come in Kenya and capture beneficiaries of Minnesota COVID scandal. So, of course, this information began from U.S. and the war, or rather the discussion or exchange between Trump and Melania, grew up into something bigger. We've seen Trump speaking a lot about these people, saying they are a bunch of, useless, worthless individuals who are not adding value. And now Rigathi Gachagua, unfortunately, has picked this up and started speaking about the raid in Kenya that should happen. Now, let's listen to what Rigathi said that sparked that reaction that we are seeing currently. Let's check here.
Kusaidia watu wako na challenges. Hiyo pesa yote ikaibiwa ikaletwa hapa Kenya. Wakanunua mashamba, wakanunua manyumba, wakajenga mall. So, rais anapanga wapewe court order. Wasiende. Na mtaona watapewa court order.
Speaking at a church function in Githunguri, Kiambu County, Gachagua mocked President William Ruto's Singapore dream, dismissing it as empty political rhetoric.
Niko na plan, na ile plan niko nayo ni ya kutoa Kenya third world nipeleke first world ikuwe kama Singapore. Don't tell us that Singapore nonsense. First deal with the bottom up.
Kenya ni kubwa mara 800 ukilinganisha na Singapore. Na ukisikia huyo kiongozi akisema anatupeleka Singapore, Hiyo ni kumaanisha hawezi ongoza nchi kubwa, anataka kuongoza nchi kidogo. Kwa hivyo yeye ashuke hapo, aende asimame kiti ya mbunge.
Meanwhile, a section of women leaders from Murang'a County, led by Maragwa MP Mary Wamaua, have accused Gachagua and his allies of orchestrating the attack on Lamu woman representative Muthoni Marubu during the funeral of Embakasi North MP James Gakuya's mother. Muthoni was assaulted by a group of youth after publicly declaring her support for President William Ruto.
Yeah, of course, so everybody saw what happened at the funeral at Gakuya's place, and it was unfortunate that this lady was almost actually injured. Charger. Yo, my phone is almost dead too. Yeah, so it's unfortunate that she was almost attacked very badly because of, people kind of don't just want to stand what somebody else has, a different ideology that is. Okay, so welcome those who are watching. We have Gregory Muinde, we have Brian Mwema. Thank you so much for coming to the platform, and I appreciate. So, I don't know how to consider what Rigathi Gachagua said. Maybe it is a bit extreme. It is a bit extreme for him to have indicated that the president should be lifted as it happened in the other nation. I don't know. But at the end of the day, he having mentioned something to do with the Minnesota actually triggered a lot of emotions among the Somali people. And I don't know what will come up at the end of the day. Now, looking at something else. Let's check on something else here. Is this? There was some video I wanted to show. I don't know whether I'll see it. I did watch it yesterday, and if I don't find it, it's okay. Sometimes it happens. Yeah, so of course, Rigathi Gachagua came up with that statement, and I don't know what triggered him to think about that solution, but I think it's a far goes onto the aspect of revenge. And sometimes when a politician stands, now they just pick some patterns, use it too much, not knowing that it would not occur well with some communities, because currently in Kenya, if you are standing as an opposition party, you shouldn't become an enemy of the people. If you are trying to prove that the government is not doing the right thing, just give your ideologies, share out what you believe that is not right, but not necessarily indicating how some people will be should be lifted, how some people should be, all that sometimes does not occur well. At the end of the day, it might be a rhetoric that will work against the. Yes, of course, I'm a bit unable to get that video. I don't know whether I watched it through the other channel, but the reality is sometimes, I don't know, maybe politicians, when they decide to speak, they don't even mind how some people would think about what they said,
I'm quite sure they have got the right
what is happening now?
professionalism.
I want to
Now,
switch
some people are
this.
indicating that by
What is happening here? I can't even check the other. I can't switch the account of this. It's not bringing options. Yeah, so the indication of lifting of people actually touched the Somali community, and I think this is a negative to the opposition. I don't know how they'll retract, because one thing I know about the Somali people, if they decide to hate or rather dislike somebody, all of them will go the same way. So I'm not sure what the opposition will do to actually have them trust them and believe that that government is not going to be anti-them. And unfortunately, even if we have Somalis who have conducted crimes, not all of them have conducted crimes, and therefore it might be very wrong. And remember, they are giving birth every day. The Somali people are growing every day in the country. In fact, it is one of the communities that is found in every town in Kenya. So the opposition, I don't know what they'll do to tread carefully and retrieve the statements that seem to be anti-Somali in Kenya, because it might do a lot of harm to them as opposition and maybe easily make that community trust the government more than the opposition. And that, I think, would actually harm their intentions of what the opposition is working towards. But then, of course, they are wise enough, they have their way to go about it. Let's hope they'll do it, because it's not, we don't have a lot of time. If they delay, then they would have worked against their own goals and what have you. Let me check on the history of Life Saga TV, because I believe that is where I did watch that video yesterday, and I wanted just to bring it out and show what Rigathi said. And I hope I'll get it. Let me hope I'll get it. Where is this? Yesterday. Oh, I can't see it again. So there was nothing yesterday.
Yeah.
Was it yesterday or today? I think it was today morning, around 10. I think it's this, yeah. Yeah, so let's see the allies of the president and what they were saying.
Of United States of America, Donald Trump, come and pluck out our president. Pick our president the way you have picked Maduro. Nobody, not the mightiest powers in this world, will have that capacity to do this against the will of Kenyans.
A foreign arrest thousands of miles away is currently shaking President Ruto's camp, and the panic is no longer private.
Not a single president of ours, not a single leader of our country will be plucked by anybody else. We don't care whether they're a superpower, and nobody will ever try. As long as we have Kenyans with the guts, and we have many of them who have the guts, including all of us who are here now addressing you today, nobody is going to mess with us because they think we are a subhuman. No. If it has happened in other countries, if it has happened in Libya, it has happened in Iraq, it has happened in other places, I can assure you one thing, it will never happen in Kenya.
Barely a week after Donald Trump ordered a military operation in Venezuela that ended with the arrest of President Nicolas Maduro, the arrests have reached Kenya. Ruto's staunchest allies, specifically the influential Somali political elite, are already warning Trump in advance against imagining a similar move on Kenya's head of state. Some have gone further, invoking the infamous Black Hawk Down operation in Mogadishu as a reminder of how badly foreign interventions can end.
Not the mightiest powers in this world will have that capacity to do this against the will of Kenyans. Kenyans and the world must remember what happened many years back in Mogadishu when the Americans, with all their sophistication and might, wanted to take one General Farah, Muhammad Aidid. The one thing you can never try in the whole of Africa is to try and do that. Americans learned their lesson. The international community learned its lesson, and not a single president of ours, not a single leader of our country will be plagued by anybody else. We don't care whether you're a superpower. It will never happen in Kenya, and we are willing to shed every drop of blood of every citizen of this country before we can be treated to that kind of embarrassment. No, we became independent, and our independence was born out of the struggle for freedom of Kenyans. Anybody ambaye anawatafuta wazungu kwenda kwa lamba aenda tafuta hapo kwingine, sio hapa Kenya. We are proud people. We are a proud nation, and we have the capacity to protect ourselves from any external threat, regardless of how powerful that external threat is. Even if it's a nuclear power, we are confident of ourselves.
But why the sudden hostility? You see, the trigger isn't just a sense of sovereign pride. It is personal, and it is financial. The Trump administration has launched an aggressive crackdown on alleged Somali-linked fraud networks in the United States, particularly in Minnesota.
Thousands of Somalians are ripping off our country and ripping apart that once great state. Billions of dollars are lost, and gangs of Somalians come from a country that doesn't even have a government, no laws, no water, no military, no nothing. As their representatives in our country preach to us about our Constitution and how our country is no good. We're not going to put up with these kind of assaults on law and order by people who shouldn't even be in our country.
While much of the world has applauded the crackdown on alleged Minnesota syndicate activities, the real sting lies in the deportations and asset freeze threat.
And the Somalians are ripping off our country to the tune of, looks like $19 billion, but that's only what they can find. So usually when you're looking at 19, that would mean it could be 50. But the numbers are astronomical. Think of it. They have a dead country. They don't have government. They don't have anything. They don't have a military. All they do is run around shooting people and trying to capture ships. You know, we don't let them take ships anymore. You know why? We use the same exact missile on them that we use on the drug carriers. And it's very effective.
The administration claims stolen funds were laundered through Kenya and invested heavily in real estate, with Isli named repeatedly as the destination of choice. Now, Trump is threatening to freeze every account and recover every brick linked to these funds.
Somalians ripped off that state for billions of dollars. Billions. Every year. Billions of dollars. And they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Somebody say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks. And we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries too.
And you know what? 1 month's panic is another month's party. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is already popping champagne, welcoming the move with open arms. Gachagua claims billions siphoned from the US have reshaped Eastleigh's skyline, even alleging that a well-known shopping mall in the area was built using proceeds of fraud.
Pale Minnesota, US, kulikuwa na pesa ya kusaidia people with disability, kusaidia watu wako na challenges. Hiyo pesa yote ikaibiwa ikaletwa hapa Kenya. Wakanunua mashamba, wakanunua manyumba, wakajenga mall. Sasa Amerika wamejua, wameanza kutafuta hiyo watu. Ingine ndio ilipatiwa rais kufanya kampeni ya UDA. Iko mall moja iko Eastleigh, ilijengwa na hiyo pesa. Huyo mwenye hiyo mall ni business partner ya rais. Mchele ile imeagizwa ndio imalize watu ya Mwea. 500,000 metric tons imepewa huyu mwenye hiyo mall ambayo ilijengwa na hiyo pesa ilitolewa Minnesota. Sasa tunaambia Trump amesema atakuja kuchukua hiyo watu hapa na tunamkaribisha, lakini jana rais ameshinda akifanya mipango vile mahakama itazuia hiyo watu kuchukuliwa. Kuna ile process inaitwa extradition. So rais anapanga wapewe court order wasiende, na mtaona watapewa court order huyo mwenye hiyo mall, because wa America wamemumulika. So we are asking Donald Trump, please don't bother with the extradition process in Kenya. Just do what you did in Venezuela. Yeah?
Yeah, so of course that statement is what has created a lot of fuss between for many people from the Somali end, the Somalis in Kenya, and they are now coming after Rigathi Gachagua. And as I said, sometimes a wise man keeps quiet, but Gachagua, as he is trying to use this in a political mileage, but it may be a deal gone wrong. So of course our last discussion is surrounding the enrollment, or rather the selection of grade 10 students. A lot of parents are stranded because the selection process was actually very controversial, with students being placed in schools that maybe are not even to their level, or the parents are not all right with them. Let's just follow this to see what's happening.
Cleans like bleach with a sparkling fresh feel. Almost. Indeed, a very sad story there. Moving on to matters education, thousands of parents may still not get sports for their children in their school of choice as frustration and anxiety grip the grade 10 placement process. With reporting dates fast approaching, families are crisscrossing senior schools in desperation, clinging to fading hope amid limited vacancies, uncertainty, and growing claims of unfair practices that threaten to erode trust in the system. Our education reporter Anne Musungu tells us more. Frustration over grade 10 placement persists as the second phase of the review process opens today, triggering a fresh wave of anxiety among parents, many who flocked senior schools in a desperate bid to secure limited slots for their learners. With barely a week to the official grade 10 reporting date, desperation is written across many parents' faces. Most have been turned away from their preferred schools, some clutching empty promises of callbacks, others leaving documents behind in sheer hope, uncertain whether any response will ever come.
Mtoto alipata 61 point. Shule yenye aliitwa ilikuwa huko Shago upande wa Siaya. Na huko sijui.
This is my third time coming to Nairobi school. We've never been allowed to get into the gate. We are just being told to wait for phone calls, which we don't know when we will be called.
Chances are slim, and it's like we are denied hiyo chance ya kuingia mtoto kwa admitted katika hii shule.
For Virginia, a student, the eagerness to join their school of choice remains painfully uncertain, as she acknowledged the hard work and sacrifices she poured into her studies, only to face crushing disappointment at the final hurdle, as dreams carefully built over years hangs in limbo.
I applied to Kenya High and State House, but the process is just so hard, like you don't even know if you have a chance to go there.
Parents say the distress has deepened after revelations that some schools are demanding extra money in exchange for admission letters. For families already stretched thin, the alleged pay-to-enter demands have turned an already painful placement process into a bitter and disheartening ordeal.
Wengine wanatoka huko wanauliziana umelipa ngapi? Umelipa ngapi? Sasa sijui umelipa ngapi na ni pesa gani, wanasema umelipa ngapi na mtoto hajaingia.
I talked to two people. One told me to be with 150,000 is when they will understand my quest. And another person who also gave me a contact told me to be with 100,000. So all that money I can't get because me, I was only prepared with the school fees, and I cannot use my school fees money to bribe my way.
The second placement revision kicks off today and will run for 4 days, offering a final window of hope for anxious families. Once the process closes, learners are expected to begin reporting to senior schools from January 12th, marking a decisive moment in their academic journey. Attention now shifts to the Ministry of Education as pressure mounts to deliver fair, transparent, and timely placement. For thousands of learners and parents, the ministry's next step will determine whether confidence in the senior school placement process is restored or further shaken. And Musungu KTN, Nairobi. Thank you for that report.
All right, so following that report, of course, currently you can see the frustration that happened, and it is just almost something similar to what the former placements were, though the frustration has been kind of heightened because of what the government did, or rather the decision they made in how they will place the students. Anyway, let's hope for the best. You can drop your comments anytime. Bye bye for now. Huyu mtoto huwa analalaje ndio anatoatoa masauti. Mimi nachukia mtu kulala alafu aanze